I mean, yeah, it's definitely a lot different from how like Coach D did things in the past, but there's still a ton of similarities as well. I mean, we're still hitting a ton, trying to get better every day, working as hard as we can, trying to be relentless, just like Coach Tucker says. And we're coming in here every day to work, and that's the exact same way it was with Coach D. But there's a couple things that have changed just when it comes to like stretching. We're stretching a ton more in the weight room. We're doing a couple like different type of exercises just to help like lengthen our muscles a little bit and help us feel fresh for once we go back out on the field. And then we also have like walkthroughs late at night, which I think have helped the younger guys as well as myself a ton, just with improving and fixing the mistakes from earlier that day. Definitely not. I mean, I found out the news like right after the Rutgers game. I was walking around on my foot kind of for like most camp, and it was kind of hurting running through drills and stuff. And then when I finally got the X-ray, they told me that it was a like fifth metatarsal fracture. And I mean, it was tough news, and it was hard to deal with at first. But I mean, I just asked God, like, God, I know that you have a bigger plan for me, and that you have a bigger purpose for me as well. So if this is in your plan, I'll do whatever you want me to do. And then as soon as I found that news out, I was right away thinking I was going to try and come back next year just as long as Coach Tucker let me. And so as soon as I was able to, I talked to Coach Tucker and asked if I would be able to come back next year, and he said yes, and I was ecstatic. And from that point on, I was just excited for the opportunity this upcoming fall to compete. I would just say I've tried to improve on all aspects, definitely in the run game, just like focusing on moving my feet through contact, getting guys off the ball vertically compared to laterally, and then pass setting wise, just trying to move my feet faster and stay with the defender as long as possible, stay in front of them, engaging my hands. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like a crazy amount better, but I'm trying to work hard every day at getting better in every little aspect, whether that's footwork or using my hands the correct way or keeping my head out of pass sets. Just little things like that I just try and focus on every single day. Most definitely. Coach Novak's a great strength and conditioning coach, and I believe in everything that he's done for us. And I've seen a ton of improvement with the numbers in the weight room, and I'm excited to see all my teammates compete on the field this year and show what they got and show what they worked on this whole off season. I mean, I talked to Brian and Jack both a ton, and I just talk to them about like how things are going, and like I'll see how they're doing with things like that, and I always just have questions for them, just like when you're in this certain block and you have this certain look, like what would you do here? Like if you have this block and you're trying to pass that on a 2-eye here, like what would you do here? And I use them as a resource as much as I possibly can, and I know some of my teammates do as well, so they're a great resource, and I use them as much as I can.
Mustache, what do you think? Do you have a favorite mustache on the team?
I like Jacob Panashuk's, looks pretty nice. Nick Samak has a really good one too, and then Kevin Jarvis has a really good one as well. They asked me to shave my face down, but I decided to shave the head instead, get a little more serious, and I didn't want to show everybody my third chin, so I thought I'd keep the beard.
You had the stash, didn't you?
A couple camps ago, yeah, we did camp stashes, but I had like long hair back then too. That was the Holiday Bowl season. The last time I did a mustache for camp. It's probably good luck. I probably should do it again. I think Coach Cap and Coach Gerard James definitely for us. I mean, Coach Cap emphasizes every day that we're not going to be the same offensive line that we were last year, and we're coming out every day to prove that, not just for you guys, but for ourselves, and prove that we can be one of the best offensive lines in the Big Ten and the country. I mean, I just know that we're going to work as hard as we possibly can to do what's best for our team every day, and I've seen that every day on the field, and I'm excited to see what happens this upcoming fall. Most definitely. I think that anytime somebody's nipping at your heels, you always go that extra mile to work as hard as you can. I mean, regardless of what happens, I'm going to try and work as hard as I possibly can, and I know a lot of my teammates are the same way, but when you have somebody that's like constantly pushing you to be your best, like you're always going to try and do more and reach a little higher. Honestly, just when it comes to film and even on the field, he's always on us, whether that's we're going through blocking drills or like a walkthrough in the beginning of practice, or we're going through a team period. He expects us to be our best, whether we're tired, there's a quote where it says fatigue makes cowards of us all, and he just pushes us to be our very best every day, whether that's in the classroom or on the field. I know there have been times where we're going through walkthroughs and it's near the end of the day and guys are starting to get a little like excited to go home, and he just like locks everybody back in and makes sure that we're all focused on the task at hand until the job's done that day. Yeah, for me personally, I've always looked to God, like for my mental aspect. I mean, ever since I got here when I was a freshman, like I had a tough time like believing I could come here and do this, and so I always asked that he would take that burden and lift it off my shoulders, and I know that he's been out here with me through every practice and through every walkthrough and through every lift that I've been here. So whenever I compete, I'm competing as hard as I possibly can for him, and I think that really helps me keep my mental game on check, and just being able to, at the end of the day, just go back to him and just talk to him and be alone with him is where I find my peace and what helps me be ready for the next day of work. Yeah, there are definitely a lot of good guys. I think Ethan Boyd's seen a lot of improvement. He was obviously here in the spring as well, but just like little improvements, whether it's like using his hands a little bit better or coming off the ball faster. And then I think Jared Horst, the transfer from Arkansas State, he's been a real good addition to our room, just bringing a little bit of an edge to the offensive line room and making sure everybody's playing like an aggressive person. And just I like Gino Vandemark as well. He's been doing really well. He's got a lot of power. Right now it's just being able to use it in the correct way, but I mean that comes with time. It's really hard to do those things at such a young age, so I mean it'll come. I know it definitely will, but those things take time and a lot of hard work. But all the guys that have gotten here have been very impressive for me, and I'm excited to see him compete. Like, never gets a ton of the credit, but I don't want all the credit, or I don't want any of the credit. I think that the guys that are in the backfield, like I'm working as hard as I can for them, as well as for the quarterbacks and as well as for the wide receivers. Everything I do is for those guys on the field, and I work as hard as I can for them so that I can be at my best when they need me.